Look at the last 4 years. In an inflationary environment, gold is up 13%, Bitcoin is up 394%. Any good investor will tell you all physical commodities make poor investments. Gold's just the least worst. Now, for those of you who are Bitcoin advocates and you go and you talk to people, right, what you'll find is the very controversial narrative of Bitcoin is this digital currency. That gets everybody racked around the axle because they think, well, it's competing with the yen and the dollar and the euro and the ruble and the CNY and the like, and it's a medium exchange and it needs to be legal tender and it shouldn't be taxed. It becomes a very controversial thing. If you put that aside for a second, that's the ugly narrative, and you go to the bad narrative, Bitcoin is digital gold. It's sort of true, but it's not a very good narrative. Why? Because if you talk to 1,000 billionaires and you say, well, how many of you made $1 billion investing in gold? And the answer is 0. And if you go to 1,000 wealthy families and say, now that you're wealthy, are you going to go buy $1 billion of gold? The answer is no. And you say, well, we've got digital gold. It's great. It moves at the speed of light. It's programmable. You can teleport it. It's great. And they go, well, that's nice, but I don't own any gold. Okay, I can't find anybody that owns gold. The people that are advocates of gold don't own gold. Peter Schiff, on the record, has spent 15 years advocating gold. And when you ask him, Peter, do you own any gold? It's like, oh, no, I don't own gold. It's a very small part of my portfolio. Okay, so find me someone that actually owns gold that you could even debate on the topic. And the answer is it just seems to be 1% to 3% oddity, in any portfolio. So, yeah, Bitcoin is the best commodity, but the truth is all commodities are dogs, and Bitcoin actually fixed the commodity. But that word commodity is a dirty word. Every intelligent business person, every intelligent investor knows that you should run as fast. Run, don't walk away from commodities. So what is Bitcoin really? Bitcoin's the only scarcity. It's not a commodity. A commodity is something you can create infinite amounts of, and anybody's allowed to create infinite amounts of and dump it on the market. And if you want to hold $1 billion of soybeans for 100 years, that's probably not going to be generational wealth for your granddaughter, right? Pretty obvious why. But $1 billion of gold won't be generational wealth for your granddaughter either. Bitcoin's the first absolutely scarce commodity in human history. So you have to say it represents an entirely new asset class. It's not an equity, it's not a property, it's not a commodity, it's something different. It's new. Given the fact that it's new, there's nothing to compare it to. So you got to ask the question, if there is no scarce commodity in the world, what is scarce? Find me anything that's scarce. And I got the hourglass up here to make a point. No amount of money will buy you more time or more Bitcoin. So if you consider the nature of the universe as a physicist, the one thing that's scarce is time, right? No politician can make more of it. No capitalist can manufacture more of it. No AI bot can create more of it. Time is the true ultimate scarce yardstick, right? That's how the universe works. That's how God makes the universe work. Einstein had a lot to say about it. Physicists have a lot to say about it. What have we done with Bitcoin? We have bottled time in a Bitcoin, right? The process of proof of work mining is, in essence, digitally transforming time into an asset. Our goal was to create a digital money, but now it gives new meaning to the phrase time is money. How do I actually create digital time, digital scarcity, and then how do I put it, on a hardware wallet? How do I move it? How do I compute with it? Right? So scarcity is, it's very underwhelming to say, oh, Bitcoin is it's digital currency, or it's digital property, or it's digital gold, or it's digital something, because what it really is this digital time, this constant right? If I give you 100 trillion quadrillion dollars, you won't get more than 21 million Bitcoin. If I give you all the money in the world and you crank the miner up, we know how fast Bitcoin is coming out every 10 minutes, right? We have created the perfect monetary asset because we have figured out how to duplicate the benefits and the characteristics of time. And ultimately, when you measure your life and everything in your life, you have to measure it against time, because time's the one thing you're not getting back, no matter how rich you are. Now, people oftentimes, they try to buy land, right? Land is the scarce asset. They're not making any more beachfront property, right? I want to buy land, and the truth is, in the 20th century, if you're a rich family and you didn't make money on technology, then you made money on property. And the property you bought was the middle of London or Paris or New York, or you bought some beachfront in the Hamptons or Palm Beach or something, but probably you bought very desirable commercial real estate in the middle of the city. But it's kind of a bromide. People will say things, oh yeah, well, I guess commodities can be manufactured, but land, they're not making that anymore. They're not making any more land, right? When Mark Twain said that? Okay, look at the picture here. The truth is, they are making more land. This is Boston over the course of 300 years. Half of Boston was made. I live in Miami Beach. 3/4 of Miami Beach was manufactured in the last 100 years. It's all made, right? They dredged it. Dubai, they make land. Amsterdam, Rotterdam, they made the land. The truth is, given enough money, you can make land, and if you want it, you'd be surprised how much of it you make, right? Most people don't think about this, but at the end of the day, storing all of your economic energy in land is not truly going to be effective, because it's going to inflate, and it's going to be impaired by a whole set of other challenges. So Bitcoin's the best property. What's the best property? Bitcoin's the best property. What's the second best property? There is no second best property, right? This is the greatest digital city in the world. There's 220 million inhabitants there right now. What's the second best digital city in the world? Right? There isn't a second best city in the world. Why is this so powerful? It's global. Anybody can go there. It's digital. You can zap there on a mobile phone, and there's billions of mobile devices. It's open. This is a city that's got no mayor to tell you what you can't do. And on the other hand, everybody can zap there with their capital when they want. It's permissionless. And you don't have to buy a building. And how many people can afford an apartment in New York? Most people can't afford an apartment in New York. You can buy a fraction of a piece of property in this city. It's totally divisible, and this is the immortal city. Maybe New York is there a couple 100 years. This city could be there 10,000 years. It's a virtual city. And, we talk about sustainability, but sustainable here means there's no painting, there's no tornado going to hit this city. There's not a flood insurance obligation on this city. You don't have to worry about, neighbors getting together and creating a zoning ordinance. This city will last, and this property in this city will last. Bitcoin's the best property, right? Why would you buy it? You would buy it because it's a heck of a lot better idea than buying an apartment to Airbnb for the rest of your life. What are you going to do when you die? You're going to leave instructions for your grandchildren on how to operate the Airbnb? And where are the instructions for how to actually convince the mayor to not tax away or rent control your Airbnb? One of the problems with property is it's inherently corrupting in the physical world, because if you're not a political actor and you own property, then the politicians take it away from you. And that convinces you that you have to then influence the political process and take control of the government, whether it's the city, the county, the state, right? Entire states were created, right? Why is Las Vegas here? Why are you in the city? You know why you're here? It's because they drove all the way down to across the state line. And when they were out of California, they said, okay, this is a good state, and we'll put the city here in this part of the desert. If the city had been a few miles on the other side of the highway, there'd be no Las Vegas. everything that's going on here would have been shut down, regulated away, made illegal, or taxed away sometime in the last 50 years. So the problem with physical property is you have to become the political actor, or another political actor will just take it away from you, and there's no middle ground. And at the point that you're no longer politically capable of defending your property, when your children or grandchildren aren't as well-wired and aren't as politically sophisticated or charming or charismatic as you are, then the county, the city, the state, the whatever, they just crank your property taxes, expropriate your property, turn it into an airport or a school or whatever, utility line, and someone writes a little obituary saying, oops, third generation, they lost the family farm. I guess they weren't as smart as their grandparents were. They probably deserved it, right? And that's the best thing about this property. Here's a city you can move to, a cyber Manhattan. There's never going to be more than 276 to the third blocks. 276 cubed, that's the number I want to plant in your head. If Bitcoin was a city in cyberspace, it would be 276 blocks wide, 276 blocks high, 276 blocks deep. When you buy Bitcoin, you're buying one of those blocks. That's all there is. 276 is the cube root of 21 million to the nearest integer. There's no second best property.